Yes, extremely. I find it's really difficult for me to making a new friends because I am a shy person. So and so I always feel it's really impressed when I stand in front of a stranger, but after my efforts enhance my communication skill through reading books, now I can be much more confident to stay in front of some person, a person to and communicate with them without the fears of being judged.
That was a very honest and detailed answer. Based on what you shared, I would estimate this response to be around a band 6.0. Regarding your fluency, you spoke clearly and connected your ideas well, but there were a few grammatical slip ups that affected precision. For vocabulary, you use some good phrases like enhance my communication skill, but you can improve your word choice by using intimidated instead of impressed in that context. Let's look at the grammar. You should say it's really difficult for me to make new friends, not making a new friends, and without the fear, not without the fear. If I were to correct it naturally, it would be, I find it really difficult to make new friends because I'm quite shy. I always feel intimidated when meeting strangers, but after working on my communication skills by reading books, I now feel much more confident speaking with them without the fear of being judged. Now for the next question.
Yes, I find becoming a perfect person in everyone's eyes really difficult. In fact, everyone has their own opinions and they have their own concept of perfection. So you can just become a perfect person in everyone in the world. And what you have to do is just live for yourself and do everything to pursue your dreams in the future.
That's another thoughtful response. I'd say this answer deserves a band 6.5. Your fluency was good, and you structured your thoughts logically with a clear conclusion and advice. You used strong vocabulary like concept of perfection and pursue your dreams. However, there was a slight slip up with everyone's eyes instead of everyone's eyes. Also, saying you can just become a perfect person seems to mean the opposite of what you intended. You likely meant you can't possibly please everyone. A more natural version would be, I find becoming a perfect person in everyone's eyes really difficult. In fact, everyone has their own opinions and their own concept of perfection, so you can't possibly please everyone. What you have to do is just live for yourself and do everything to pursue your dreams in the future. Now let's move to the next question from your list.
Yes, I find learning a new language like English quite difficult. When I was a beginner, it was really confusing for me to memorize all the pages, grammar, structure, and simple vocabulary. But when I become aware of how important English is in my future, and how English plays a really important part in my daily life. I have motivation to study harder, and now I can achieve a certain level that I'm proud of.
That was a great response. I'd estimate your score at a band 6.5. Your fluency was consistent and you gave a well structured answer describing your journey from being a beginner to reaching a competent level. For vocabulary, phrases like aware of how important and achieved a certain level were clear, though you could use words like integral for a higher score. Let's look at the grammar. You should say when I became aware, not when I become, and that I am proud of, not that I proud of. A corrected natural version would be, I find learning a new language like English quite difficult. When I was a beginner, it was really confusing for me to memorize all the fundamental grammar structures and basic vocabulary. However, when I became aware of how important English is for my future and how it plays an integral part in my daily life, I found the motivation to study harder. Now I've achieved a certain level that I am proud of. Let's continue with the next question.
Yes, I find working in an international environment really difficult because an international environment is also a extremely competitive environment. But if you have a chance to work and cooperate in an international environment, you can make new friends and you can expand your communication circle. Besides, you can also gain your experiences of communicating with people from different countries, and you can also increase your understandings of different cultures. So it is really having uh, a, uh, a chance to work in an international environment is really valuable.
That was an excellent answer. I would rate this response at a band 6.5. Your fluency was strong and you provided a well structured argument highlighting both the challenges and the valuable benefits of such an experience. For vocabulary, phrases like extremely competitive environment and valuable were used effectively to express your ideas. I noticed a minor grammatical point. You should say gain experience rather than gain your experiences. A corrected natural version would be I find working in an international environment really difficult because it's an extremely competitive setting. However, if you have the chance to work and collaborate in such a place, you can make new friends and expand your communication circle. Besides, you can also gain experience communicating with people from different countries and broaden your understanding of different cultures, making the chance incredibly valuable. Now let's move to the next question.
Yes, I find working up always every day extremely difficult for me because I could describe myself as a nice hour, and because I am still a student, I am up to my ears in my assignments to prepare for the exams. So sometimes I have to stay up late to to complete my homework. And in the morning, I often prefer sleep in to recharge my batteries and stay focused. So working up early every day becomes really difficult for me. But after my efforts, I now form a, a healthy habit of waking up early, and now I can describe myself as an early bird.
That was a fantastic response. I'd estimate your score at a band 6.5. Your fluency was strong and you used idiomatic phrases like night owl and up to my ears very effectively. I noticed a minor pronunciation issue with waking up, which sounded a bit like working up. Grammatically, you should say I prefer to sleep in rather than prefer sleep in. A corrected natural version would be I find waking up early every day extremely difficult. As a night owl and a student up to my ears in assignments for exams, sometimes I have to stay up late to finish my homework. In the morning, I often prefer to sleep in to recharge my batteries and stay focused. So waking up early every day became really difficult for me. But after my efforts, I've now formed a healthy habit of waking up early and can describe myself as an early bird. Here is your next random question.
Yes, I find keeping good habits extremely difficult. Um, I can say that all habits die hard is especially bad habits, and it's really challenging to keep good habits alive. But when you can form a good habit, you can lead a healthy lifestyle, and you can balancing the work-life habit, which is really important for your health, and it can improve yourself uh, better.
That was a fantastic response. I'd estimate your score at a band 6.5. Your fluency was strong and you used idiomatic phrases like night owl and up to my ears very effectively. I noticed a minor pronunciation issue with waking up, which sounded a bit like working up. Grammatically, you should say I prefer to sleep in rather than prefer sleep in. A corrected natural version would be I find waking up early every day extremely difficult. As a night owl and a student up to my ears in assignments for exams, sometimes I have to stay up late to finish my homework. In the morning, I often prefer to sleep in to recharge my batteries and stay focused. So waking up early every day became really difficult for me. But after my efforts, I've now formed a healthy habit of waking up early and can describe myself as an early bird.